Welcome to another great episode of Dazed and Infused. Today's guest, Ron Funches, actor, voice actor, character on cartoons, has appeared on many TV shows, and a well-loved comedian. Hope you enjoyed today's episode with Ron Funches. Welcome back to another great episode of Dazed and Infused. Today we're really privileged to have with us Ron Funches, comedian, actor, voice actor, and you've seen him on stage and you've seen him on screen, on Blackish, you've heard him on Trolls and many other shows. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Right, man. You got a distinctive voice. Hard to miss you. Thank you very much for being here. So let's just start it out, man, with your historical relationship to cannabis. Where'd you come to cannabis? How old were you, if you want to say? And
Sure.
How'd you get there?
Absolutely. Well, basically, I was growing up in the Pacific Northwest. I was in Salem, Oregon at the time.
Okay.
And I had, from an early age, had done a little bit of research on it because I'm a nerd in general. And it always just seemed interesting to me that there had been no like ODs or death with that, but like, so many other things that caused so many issues. So I had always felt, even from a young age, where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to drink or I'm going to do other stuff, but I think I might try this. Right. And, but for, I grew up in a very religious household. And so for a long time, I didn't really do anything. And I was just, my friends were getting into it in high school as I turned 16. And I was just kind of sitting at home by myself and was just like, well, I can keep doing this. I could go hang out. I guess peer pressure is the term. But
right.
But I went and I turned my first bong hit. I remember out of a Wizard bong in a trailer park in Salem, Oregon. And I just knew that Red Vines had never tasted so delicious. And Reno 911 had never been so hilarious, even though it had always been very hilarious to me. Yeah. And I was like, I think I like this. This is fun. And it's just been a part of my life pretty much since then. I took a couple of maybe a year break when my son was born, but that was about it.
I know that drill, man. And I got something to share with you too. I am also Oregon person. We spent many years up in Eugene, Oregon. My daughter's up there currently. I married a girl from Portland, and that's where I really got into heavy hitting, was in Eugene,
Oh, absolutely. You go to the Northwest, it'll just find you. Marijuana will find you.
It'll track you down.
Absolutely. And I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Right on. Well, that's a good story. I mean, I haven't heard too much of the Northwest. I've had a lot of guests, not so many. I have a couple from Seattle and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Another little coincidence here. We're birthday brothers, March 12th.
Oh, absolutely. Us and Liza Minnelli.
Yeah. So happy post-birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you. You as well.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this and tell the people at home who are watching this today, this is all about kind of a new era for TV, for viewers, for cannabis, for everything. And that is, you're bringing on Chop 420 onto the Discovery Plus network. And we're continuing this mainstream of cannabis to the American people. And I think it's really cool. How does it feel to you to be kind of the first person to be exposing cannabis to the nation on a bigger viewing scale?
Well, I don't consider myself that. I feel like there's been a lot of people at the forefront of it. I could name so many people, whether it be someone like Snoop Dogg or Seth Rogen with his houseplant company.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's been doing very wonderful work in that space of normalizing it and making it more mainstream. But I am very happy to partner. I think it's more about Chops being a part of it, and that I get to be grateful to be a host of it, but that they're lending the name of Chops, which is 50 seasons plus. It's something that your parents watch, your grandparents watch, your aunts watch, your kids watch, and then and that we're saying that, hey, it's okay that we're adding cannabis to this. It's not taboo. It doesn't make it something that we wouldn't work with. And I love being part of that. I'm very aware of that I can kind of be, if I can be the person that makes pot shows and edibles and infuse things palatable to your mom and grandma, I think I've done a great job,
Indeed. That's where I was going, shout out to Snoop. for all the good hard work he's been doing in the background forever. That guy has done more for cannabis than anybody. And then Joe Rogan, of course. I mean, he popularized it with his show with Elon Musk token out on that great episode. But you're bringing it to the masses, grandma, grandpa. And I can just imagine my old grandma saying to me, what the hell am I watching here? What's going on? You know, she wouldn't believe it, you know. It'd just be like this bizarre new world to her. And I think that's neat because in terms of this show for Dazed and Infused, not only are you hitting on the edible nature of cannabis, right? But you're also, it is, despite what you said earlier, you're a linchpin now in the history of cannabis because this is going to be something that's watched by a lot of people. I think it's very significant. So I'm still going to shout you out for that. But, you know, I think it's cool. I really do. Because, you know, 15 years ago, would you seen that? No. You would have seen shows like Weeds and stuff like that, which are cool. They brought it to the masses too, but in a much different way, you know.
Yeah, it's a fictionalized version of it. But I think, it's so, even when I've been on sets where it's like, people I know who smoke a bunch of weed and we're doing scenes where you're supposed to smoke weed, it's still fake weed. And it's like, why? Like, why are we doing that? And that's one thing I liked about this show so much. And when I really felt like, oh, this is like home to me, where they're like, my manager called me and she was like, oh, they need you to sign a contract saying you're okay with smoking weed on camera. And I was like, oh, what? This is the opposite of how everyone else. Yeah, for real. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. I dig it. I watched the trailer you sent over, and very little difference between this and the normal show. And there shouldn't be, because this is part of what the world is doing now, right? And weed and really good dosing of weed in your daily diet, if you're a cannabis user, that's important stuff. And like for my product that we make, Shoogies, which you're acquainted with, you've had, it's like we wanted to bring out a product that had 5 milligrams because you could pace it out. You know, you could have a nice evening rather than just getting jacked on one brownie. You're like, what was that, 100 milligrams? Oh, my God. Goodbye 2 days, right?
No, that's exactly. I think the same message, same mission is to like take this thing, because I mean, so many interviews I've done, as soon as you bring it up, if they're not knowledgeable, they're like, whoa, so you guys eat 1 meal and you just passed out for 2 days, and it's just like, that's like, that's not a good situation. That's the thing that you went through in the past. That was someone who didn't know how to dose things. That's when you didn't know how to measure things out. And what we're trying to showcase to you is that you can be a first-time smoker. You can be a light smoker. You could be just someone who has aches and pains, and find something that works for you in your diet, whether it's with THC, CBD, or the combination of both, and to bring that to like, not just like, oh, cookies and brownies, but like, oh, look, we're having a roasted duck, we're having a nice pasta, we're having all these meals, like these things that I've been going to in Los Angeles with these, you know, curated meals, and the showcase to these people where it's like, you can go and do this and have fun and get home safely, and we're not gonna, you know, be a problem.
Experientially too, like you want to have that experience where you exit that dinner and you're like, wow, that was amazing. I'm high as shit, but that was amazing. And I want that again. What you don't want is that person leaving the dinner going, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ever. Absolutely. And like in that trailer, I think one of the cooks was doing looked like a encrusted lamb chop or something, and it just looked so delicious. It was crazy. It looked as good as anything like Gordon Ramsay would do or anything like that. So it's just normal, you know, and that's so good in the cannabis sphere. So hats off to you guys in the show. Were you always an edible person, or was it mainly smoking?
It's mainly smoking even now. Like it goes back and forth, depending on things. Like I tend to look in the show, like I try to stay away from things with high sugar or high fat, because you know I've lost 140 pounds of my diet, and I've been more conscious of what I eat. And so finding something that works for me and works within my diet has been important for me. And so it's been a balance. It's gone from, like, I went from the days of there's usually thing in Portland, Oregon called the musty brownies, of this comedian who would just give you this you could barely take a couple bites, but it would knock you out. And I went from that point to now, getting to where I'm eating the high cuisine, I've enjoyed all of the journey.
That's great. I like it. You know, as we go into new things, by the way, we are coming out with stevia sugies now too. If you're into stevia,
Nice, perfect, absolutely, I am.
Moderated the taste too, so it has a good taste to it. So that's nice. How did you get this job? Did you interview extensively for it? I gotta imagine there's a couple other comedians who were in the running with you, but
no, I didn't.
Wrong answer. You're like, oh man, 70 people.
Not that I know of. Maybe they did, but they just kind of reached out to me. As far as I know, I'm sure they might have other people they wanted, but and I was just like, that sounds right. That sounds fun. I like Chopped. I'd been on, and I had a history with Chopped. I'd been on the show several years prior, just trying to go on there and try it out. And I did horribly, but I was nice and sweet to people, and I guess they remembered.
So as host or contestant?
Contestant.
Oh, far out. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Got chopped first round out.
Uh-oh. That's cool. Whatever.
But now I do the chopping. So that's good.
You did it though. That's what counts, right? So let me ask you something. We're going to go totally divergent here and not just sit on this subject. Is with COVID, obviously your stand-up, right? Mm-hmm. I heard your appearance on Conan. Great appearance, by the way. You guys have a great repartee. I mean, the conversation between you two is very familiar. You must have had a lot of time on the road with him.
Yeah, no, I love Conan. He's been a big part of my life from long before I've ever met him. I was watching his work and learning off of his work, and to make my first appearance on TV on his show. Yeah. And it was so funny because I was actually, I guess now this makes me sound egotistical. I was looking at my IMDb and just looking at the things that I'd done, and I didn't realize that was 10 years ago, and I've been on Conan 13 times since then. And I was like, wow, he's really looked out for me. He's taken me out on the road, and I've learned a lot from him. And I don't think there's a better example to learn from as far as being not only a great comedian but also a great person.
Yeah, my takeaway from that interview too was his comment to you, because I think that was back March 20th. But I guess you were kind of his first guest in-house, right? You were at a theater in LA, and with COVID, not very many people getting out, right? And it's just been tough on the comedy crowd. I'm a big comedy fan. I've had the Weed and Grub people on the show a couple of times, and Mike Glazer and Mary Jane, and it was getting to be a real bummer. And I think hopefully now it's coming out. I mean, what are the people in the comedy crowd on your side saying? Are they just raring to go as soon as
absolutely for sure?
A lot of good material being written.
A lot of people booking gigs. A lot of people raring to go, and it's just I think everybody's more grateful for the time on stage now, and just aware of how fragile things can be. I think we all are, just as human beings, and so I know I'm excited. I'm going out on the road doing some gigs through the summer, but it's also taught me to kind of keep a balance. I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm not happy to be there. I don't ever want to get to the point where I'm burnt out and wishing I was somewhere else. I want to always be aware of how lucky I am to have this job,
Yeah, I do. And it looks like, just from, your appearance on this show, it looks like it's going to go quite a while. So that's cool. And your launch is tomorrow, this is going to air in a couple of weeks probably, but 4/20 is your official launch of the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect time, perfect day to launch it. It was meant to be. I think people are going to love it. I personally am proud of it, and I don't tend to lie about those things. I will promote things, but you'll never hear me go, I'm proud of this. But I am. I think this is a lot of the things I've been working towards for a long time, just learning my hosting skills, whether it's been in stand-up or hosting a game show prior, and just using my podcasting skills, and just putting everything together. And
Yeah.
I think I just and the trust and the faith that they showed me from the people from Chop to really make it my own, and to not like just try to follow what Ted does, but to just be myself and make it my show, was,
Yeah.
that meant the world to me.
Well, it was well done, and it's so professional too. Obviously, that group who's doing it is doing a really nice pro job. I mean,
They know how to make it look good. That's what I love. That's what I was excited about, is that they're always so good at those food shots. And I'm like, oh, and now they're going to do that with marijuana. I'm excited.
Well, I did have a conversation with one of your contestants. Let's just say that I was down in Palm Springs area during the same time, and he's like, I can't talk to you right now. I'm on lockdown. I'll be here for a week, so call me in a couple of weeks. So it was pretty funny. And I was like, what are you doing, man? Tell me what you're doing. No, can't tell you. Sorry. It's all very secret.
Sequester.
Yeah, man. And you also had like luminaries in the business as your guest. Laganja Stranja was on there. Definitely advocate of cannabis use, long-term advocate. The other hosts I didn't really know very much about. I apologize for that, but they were certainly knowledgeable and doing their thing.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the show, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, who are the guests going to be, or the judges going to be? Is going to be Snoop Dogg and this and that. What I love about it is that it's people who are very knowledgeable about not just marijuana, but also using it in cooking, and also just cooking in general. They were either past Chop champions or restaurant owners, like I think Esther Choi, who is one of, I think she's the only judge on all 5 episodes, because she became that center star. She just knows what she's talking about food-wise. She knows what she's talking about weed-wise, and she just good at her job. And I truly loved working with Laganja, because not only is she hilarious and fun to work with and could, jump on any joke, I thought that she really represents a lot what the show is about, which is personal freedom of like, this isn't taboo, this isn't in the closet, this is mainstream. Not only is the smoking marijuana or in edibles mainstream, but Laganja's mainstream. Being yourself, being a drag queen, being whatever it might be, as long as you're being yourself and doing what you want, that is mainstream. And that's, I think, a beautiful message.
I think that is the real takeaway too in the ganja culture. Every day I'm with people who are interesting and different and bring all sorts of cool stuff to the table. Whether it's lifestyle, whether it's, religious, whatever it is, but I see everybody in the field every day, and it's very chill. Ganja changed my life from the time I was 14, right? But I went into a career that I thought I wanted to do, and I made a lot of money doing it, but it didn't make me happy. In fact, it made me kind of sad, for many years. Then I got into cannabis and made it not just a sideline, not just slinging doobies to your buddies, but made it something, right? And it's changed my life, and it's changed it so for so many people I know. And you're right about Laganja Stranja, just being able to be out and doing her thing and bringing it to the masses and showing, hey, this is normal. What you do is normal. We're all normal. It's just different types of normal.
Absolutely. And I just love the story that you just told to me. And that's such beautiful. I mean, the things that I think I spent my whole career, my whole life making away and making money off of things that people tend to like thumb their nose at, whether it's me getting into stand-up, with my love of pro wrestling, my love of video games, my love of marijuana. And I don't think there's nothing that feels quite as good as like taking that thing that's something people make fun of you or judge you on or say was taboo, and then being like, look, I make my living off of this. I live my life off of this. I'm a successful person off of this. And so in a way, I'm a version of the American dream. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, pioneer.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, man. And it's nice always being a pioneer. Yeah. Because you're at the forefront of it. And I have the same reaction to friends of mine. They're like, at first, they're like, what are you doing that for? Why are you throwing your life away? And I was like, that's not what this is about. This is about following your dream. This is about following your passion and loving the plant that brought stuff to you. You know what I mean? I mean, I read in your bio, and it hit home for me. It's like when you're down, like you had no money. I've been there. You've eaten, beans and tortillas because there's nothing else you can buy because you had no money. We always had a little money for weed, right? And back, I'm a California guy too, so like we would get, Acapulco Gold in a brick, and we'd split it up between 20 friends, and you had your 3 or 4 grams, and that got you, your friends helped you too, but that weed helped you more because, man, my car's broken down, the rent's late, the guy you work for won't pay you.
A lot of stress and a little bit of weed, and we're going to be okay.
Yeah, just get the damn seeds out of the Acapulco. We all remember, don't we? Being down there. How do you feel about being in the streaming channel? My personal thing is I don't have cable at home on purpose because I can't stand commercials. Like I like directionalized commercials. I can deal with them, well-produced commercials. But gosh, the mainstream TV has gotten crazy, and being on a streaming network, that's pretty cool. Do you view that as more valuable than being on the traditional cable or broadcast, or do you care?
I think they're all I don't really care. I think they're all like things. I just try to work whatever is advantageous about that situation. Nothing beats free, right? So when people go like, oh, I could just turn this on and do it, that's great. But I don't think that especially the Discovery Plus app. I don't know if you've seen what's on there, but I love all that stuff on there. And I'm not just saying that to shill. I'm saying that because I'm a married man who hangs around watching 90 Day Fiance and everything on it. And then they got old episodes of Men versus Food when my wife falls asleep. Sign me up. And I just like things. I think it gives a space for shows like this. And do I think they could put this show right on the Food Network or around? Absolutely. And maybe that's something that could happen down the line. I don't know. But where we are, what it allows us to do is have our space. And if you were coming in here because you want to be here, it's a very low monetary thing to come in there. And there's a lot of bang for your buck. And I think just being able to, have more creative control and not, even though it is mainstream, we're still able to do some things that might not be allowed on network, Yeah,
it's directionalized content too, which is cool.
Exactly. That's the word.
Because then, you could be on an airplane Southwest flight to San Francisco or something, right? And you're like, I'm going to watch this ganja show. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Boom, you got it,
this
right?
This is what I like. This is what I'm into. This is that's why I think people are getting more of the future. It's like, these are my shows. And this is where they're located, no matter whether it's streaming or whatever. I go where my shows are,
Yeah. It gives you freedom.
Exactly.
It gives you freedom. And that's what it's all about. That's weed, that's cannabis, that's the lifestyle. And I'm glad you're part of it now, man. And I'm glad you're also at the forefront of getting this mainstreamed. So we've reached that kind of part in the show where I just want to talk to you about Stoney's story, one of the fan favorites here. And that just is a story about someone, yourself, your grandma, your mom, your dad eating all your brownies by accident, which happened to me, and or whatever, And you got a story for the people at home?
Sure. Is it okay if I take a hit while I tell it?
Hell yeah. Fun. Spark that bowl up. I see your raw papers on the ground back there in the box too. Is that your cat toy?
Yeah, it's like my big pile of hemp wick, actually.
Okay. While Ron takes a hit, we're going to say this show is brought to you by Shoogies, SHOOGIES, at Shoogies.com. Delicious stevia, sugar, and agave in many convenient form factors. How was that hit, Ron?
It was great. It was very tasty. I'm glad I had it because it's been a long day. I'm smoking some house plant from the Seth Rogen's company, some of his pancake ice. I like the little tins. They're fun.
That's cool. I like that.
That's
very
fun. Nice. So I got a couple stories. I could tell you one. They're both quick, so please, I'm sorry I could stick to one. But I think one of my favorite Stoney stories is when I was in high school. And I was hiding that I was smoking from anyone in the house, my dad, my sister, and everyone, but they all kind of knew. And I went to go smoke pipe in the backyard thinking that nobody was home. And then I come back into the house and I notice as I'm smoking, I'm like seeing a pair of shoes that are in the back porch that I've left out for so long. I've left them there for weeks, apparently, that there's like spider web building in my shoes. And I was just like smoking and just watching the spider build a web in my shoes. And then I hide my pipe and I go in the house and I'm still reeking, and I just run right into my sister. And she's like, "What were you doing?" And I just go, "Oh, there's spiders in my shoes."
Okay.
I had to deal with that.
There's spiders in my shoes. I'm going to use that, Ron, by the way.
Wonderful way to go. Let's go smoke. Spiders in my shoes. This thing is just my relationship with my mom and marijuana, of us like it going from her being very anti us, me smoking, and thinking it was harming me, my skills as a parent or as a breadwinner.
Aspiring
and then
comedian.
Yeah, I know. And she was like, "You could be a better comedian if you didn't smoke weed." And I was like, I don't know about that. But I've seen them. They're not that great. And to now, like, you know, my mom was eventually, unfortunately, diagnosed with breast cancer, and seeing her battle with that and her go through the pain of that, and also a couple knee surgeries as well, to the point where she was in so much pain. And I was like, I just think just try the CBD topical. Let's try this first. And then to get her into that, and her like, "Oh, I had a good night's sleep. I felt so much better." To the point that, like, me and my mom went to Amsterdam together, and like sitting there watching her roll a joint and just having a good time in life. And the fact that she'll now go to comedy clubs with me and like smoke joints with her friends. She won't smoke with me. That's her one rule, that she has to maintain dominance by not smoking with me. But to see, I think it's like allowing us to be honest with each other about like who we both are, and like not judge each other. It taught me more about her and the things that she went through as a single parent, and not to judge her as now that I'm a parent. And I think it's given her more respect for me and more love for me, of like, oh, like, look at all you do and all the things you get done, and this is just who you are. And she told me, I mean, I had a conversation with her just the other day where she was like, "Oh, like my sisters were like talking about like how like, oh, he's always got marijuana tins all over his room, so you know what his habits are." And she's all like, "Yeah, but he has them in the house that he paid for, so he can do what he wants." And I was like, that's so nice to hear that from my mom. They go that full 180 from her, you know, to now being like, "You just live your life."
He proved me wrong. He did it.
Yeah.
That's a very uplifting Stony story. Thank you, Ron.
Happy to.
That's right on. So besides Chop 420 on the Discovery Plus network, you want to plug any gigs you got coming up?
Sure. I mean, I'm going around Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Portland, Baltimore, Kansas City, a lot of different places. Just go to ronfunches.com, look at my dates. If you just want to hang out with me online and play video games, just go to twitch.tv, Ron_Funches, and we play games all the time. We watch wrestling, and we do this thing called Get High, Watch Wrestling, where we get high and watch wrestling. So maybe that's one of your interests. So come on by for that.
I'm halfway convinced wrestling was invented for stoners anyway, so that's good.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, if you're at home right now, and tomorrow is 420, which is probably a couple weeks from now when you're listening to this, if we don't get it out earlier, look for Chop 420 on the Discovery Plus network. Ron, it's been a great pleasure having you here, and I'd love to have you back if you ever want to talk about any new projects you're on, or just talk about this show again, or talk about weed in general. I'll have you back on.
I'd love that. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Ron. I appreciate your time. And as always, the show is brought to you by Shuggies. You can find us at www.shuggies.com or on Instagram at @thatshuggiesfeeling. Hit us up, DM us for any information about our House 420 events. If you are in the cannabis industry, look us up at haus420.com. Anybody in the cannabis industry can attend these events. You just have to RSVP and tell us who you work for. Ron, that includes you. You're now officially in the cannabis industry with your show.
Yay! I love it.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you at House 420, man.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Ron Funches. Always a funny guy. What a distinctive voice. and a hell of a fun time to be around. As always, this show is brought to you by Shoogies. That's SHOOGIES. Find us at a dispensary near you, the 500 milligram and 1000 milligram infused concentrate. Again, thanks for being here with Dazed and Infused. We'll see you next time.